Now time to bring you a feature on the show today. We're looking at the power sector in Nigeria and also looking at the price hike we have of meters. Now, electricity consumers willing to pay more for meters will have higher costs beginning from the 15th of this month, which is barely yesterday, and now looking at the federal government increasing the prices of single-phased and three-phase meters. Consumers have kicked against this move and have wondered why there would be an increase in the prices of meters when the government had announced last year that it was providing them with free meters. The government also announced the meter price increase in the circular dated the 11th of November, issued by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and addressed to manager directors, all electricity distribution companies and all meter asset providers. In the document, the regulator also raised the price of a single-phase meter from 44,896 naira to 58,661 naira, and for a three-phase meter, it also increased the price from 82,855 naira to 99,684 naira. The NERC had in June last year also approved a hike in the price of meters. It increased the price of a three-phase meter from 67,000 thereabout to 82,000 as at that time, while the single-phase meter was also increased from 36,000 to 44,000 thereabout. Well, joining me now in our Lagos studio to discuss this and much more, I have energy analyst Olusegun Okwade. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning. Good morning, David. This move by government has generated a whole lot of reactions. Now, within the power sector, one of the sentiments we've had is that pricing is always an issue. Circulars to reflect an upward price movement always comes at a wrong time. You look at how Nigerians are managing to bear the cost of energy. We have increase in gas. We're looking at increase in electricity tariff and a whole lot more. Yes, there's the need for cost-reflective tariff, but how do you see this particular move by government increasing the price of meters, widening the gap we currently have in terms of our metering deficit? Okay, maybe I will start with few progress the government have made. So that we don't just kick them. You know, last year we have this national mass metering project. We have the maps as well. As map for people to really close the gap of metering. But it will go back to some of the prologue that you gave in your intro of everything in the country being increased day by day. The cost of gas, the cost of products, some other product. And what is the bottom line of this? Because we are import-based nation. Everything that we need to do, the production, the manufacturing of some of these meters are basically being imported. And you know, the cost at which they are still selling to you is the same. But your foreign exchange at which you bring some of those things here keeps increasing. And what do you do on the part of the business owner? You observe with me that in the last 6 months, I don't think most disco has rolled out any meter, because after the conclusion of the NMMP, the first phase that ended early this year, majority of the meter suppliers have run out of stock, and it was pretty difficult for them to bring in some of this product because the foreign exchange is not allowing those things to come at the price at which the NEC has actually fixed it. So I think it took government several times to have a thought of what do we do. Well, we are about to start the second phase, which they promise, you know, to roll out about 4 million meter in the second phase of the NMMP project. But the question why this is coming out, one, is to enlighten the populace of the cost of this meter that will be given to them free. They put a caveat in their memo that was generated. Between now and when the procurement process for the NMMP will be concluded, they have given the MAP the opportunity to go ahead and make available meters to those that may want to acquire it. And they said this will be done by reverting back via procurement of credit. You pay for the meter,
and they will factor those things into the cost of it. That was the circular we got or we received from NEC as regard this particular thing. But the problem still lies on the way the management, the government is managing the activities of the nation. The fact remains that until we domesticate the production of some of these things, even that we have some of these key players here as we speak, assembling some of these products, but the raw material that they need to do, the boxes, the accessories, all of these things are being imported. And when it's import based, it becomes a problem.
Now, looking at the scope of discussion for today, in terms of the metering gap, now we have two indexes here, availability and affordability. First and foremost, there are two schools of thought. Yes, we need to see increments to ensure that we have Nigerians get better services. And there's the other question, just before we took our break, the same Nigerians you're saying in the last 6 months have not had an improvement in their salary. Minimum wage still remains the same. How do you expect them to pay for this?
Yeah, you see, you will not take that to the government. What are the major indices that they have put in to improve the lot of an average Nigerian? Because this business, don't forget, is in the hands of individuals too, who pays people salary, who make sure that the lot of an individual is better. So if the business does not survive, how do you take care of those things? The minimum wage is on the part of the federal government, of which they are not ready to do anything. But I can tell you that despite the hardship that most business owners are faced with, they try as much as possible to see how to maintain balance with their staff. You can't compare a private individual with the public sector.
Do you think the populace understands that you cannot continuously subsidize consumption?
No, an average populace will not understand that. The fact remains that you are in government to make sure that we have better welfare, we have better things at affordable prices and all the things. But the federal government is not actually having that holistic view of making sure that an average citizen get the best that is expected of them. And that has been a major problem. This procurement of meter, the business owners, the discos, is not government entity. It's the business of individual, and they are in business to survive. They are in business to provide the basic things that is expected. We have said it before now. NEC is there to regulate the power sector, but how much of it are you doing from the two sides? You have to regulate the disco to make sure that some of the promises that they have made, they are fulfilling it. On the other side, make sure that the business itself survives. You have come out with cost reflective tariff. How much of it have you monitored? How much have you seen the process of procuring some of this meter to be seamless? It's been a difficult thing, I must tell you, because several people have actually complained that the process of getting it is difficult, and you don't blame them. Like I said, the last 6 months has been practically down for any disco to make available meter. That I know.
Now, I've had first-hand experiences in terms of bottlenecks in terms of getting meters. Now, there are reports that there are lump sums billed on the meter prior to getting the meter. So take, for example, a landlord who explained to me, upon the request for the meter, there was an initial 50-something thousand thereabout placed on it, and he assumed, okay, well, that's just a one-off payment. And then by the following month, he had another 67,000. The third month, he had another 67,000. Currently, he's having well over 200 and something thousand naira, and its excuse is that I have gone back to the disco to explain the situation as at hand. I made a request for this name is different from what I have here, and I'm still being billed. We have a whole lot of bottlenecks. We have different sides to the story. How do you see this fueling the space or the lingering menace of estimated billing? Nigerians still locked in the spot.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, because the process, as I speak to you, it's not something that is really encouraging. You discover communication gap between the disco, their representatives who we regard to as marketer, or because of one target or the other that they need to make. Imagine someone will want to just set up and say, I need a meter.
I ask this because the same person who is expected to pay for this sum is also still bearing the cost of the estimated bill brought to the doorstep.
That is the area where I'm going. The marketer will come, I need a meter, and he will tell you all you need to do. You can't do anything without having an account that we can say this is what you are being built on. And you discover that, okay, open an account for me. There will always be this promise. Do it for 1 month. Within 30 days, we'll get you a meter. You discover that that promise is not being fulfilled. And at the central, you've been captured to be a customer. So you ought
to be billed.
So you must be billed for what you are consuming.
But the reality is that you've not consumed anything.
No, but provided you are connected to the public grid, you will definitely be billed. The basis of billing is what we are contesting. But the fact remains that if the meters are not available, I always advise professionally, don't get involved. I've seen instances where we tell individual, don't get connected to the grid. Write them until you provide meters for me. That is when I will get connected to the grid. I will make use of the alternative power supply, because the rate at which this estimated billing is coming is alarming. And you see, they will tell you that they have a scientific way of bringing those bills to you, but a common man won't want to hear that.
Does the calculation make any sense to you?
Well, in all fairness, the yardstick that they put, we feel that is transparent enough, because what do? They try as much as possible to read the meter that you have on your transformer, give load assessment of each houses that stays within that environment. But part of the problem that we are faced with is most people, because they feel it's estimated billing, forgetting the fact that there is a meter that is capturing their reading on the transformer, leave most of their appliances on, and the meter at the transformer is capturing those readings. So it's high time we on our own part too should look for a way. Let's do it together. If you are coming to pick the reading on the transformer, we should be able to look at it together, look what it is, multiply and see what is coming to that environment for you to have that transparency.
Let's play devil's advocate, or stay on the part of the people now. You take someone who lives in a studio apartment or a one-bedroom apartment with limited appliances, does not, now you know the major appliances that consume. And the person says, the reading I'm having does not correspond with what I am paying for.
Yeah, it's always like that, David. But the truth of the matter is that the people that are actually doing the billing, the process they told us they make use of is that every houses has actually, there is what we call load assessment, that they've carried out load assessment. If they have not done that on the part of individual and they bring bill, we keep saying it, write and continue to write to make your position known. If you are not comfortable with it, I always tell, disconnect and engage the alternative way of saying, no, this cannot continue. Because the problem is always when they now bring the bill or the meter for you, maybe the next year, you now have accumulated bill, and it now tell you must clear the bill if you want to continue, or we factor the bill and you start paying for what you have not consumed. So I always say, can we do away with your service if I don't make use of your service until the installation of the meter, so that there won't be any differences between us? So when you now provide me with meter and I know I am paying for, we have seen instances too on the other side where people are being billed 50-something thousand, and upon the installation of the meter they paid more. And these are part of the problem that we face, that let the disco come out in metering the people, so that whatever they consume, there will be transparency and there won't be any issue
I need us to wrap up this conversation in 1 month in terms of our production base. Now, yes, we have local companies in the business of assembling prepaid meters. How do you also see this affecting the pricing of the meters as well, especially in the sense that we largely import and we just assemble here? Do you see a future where we produce what we assemble?
Yeah, well, in the nearest future, maybe that will be done. But as we speak, because we rely solely all the material, the component that are required in producing those meters are being imported. And provided we continue in that route, the cost of this meter will continue to increase until we have that enabling environment. There are so many of these materials that we can produce here, but because the environment is not conducive for business survival, it becomes a problem. So let government do what is needful so that we can do some of these things. We have so many of our young ones coming out, electronics, coming out with good innovation on some of these solutions. But where do we go? The materials are not available. We have to import them, and the more we import, the more
it's open to external shocks. Exactly.
Bring those things up.
Thank you very much for your time on the show today, Olusegun Okwade. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we need to see a time where energy cost comes down. The average Nigerian deserves better, definitely.
Thank you very much for having me.